Before the video gets started, a lot of you guys don't know I've been uploading pretty consistently on my second channel. I haven't promoted it much because I wanted to wait until I got my videos on there to a good place, and now they're there. So links in the description to go check it out. And make sure to subscribe for new videos every week. And now for this video. The NBA's greatest never give up stories, part 2. Part 1 had some great ones, but they're just as good in this one. But before watching this, if you haven't seen the first part, go ahead and watch it now with the link in the description. Then I'll link part 2 in the description of that one, so you can come right back and watch this one. If you've already seen it though, then this one needs no introduction. But first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is this really fun app, Basketball Arena. And pay attention here because they have opportunities to win $50,000 in cash prizes, but we'll get to that. So Basketball Arena is an online multiplayer game. You pick your team and you can customize everything about them. And then you start a game, and there's 3 main moves. There's a dash that helps you get around the court to blow past your defender for the easy dunk, step back and hit a 3-pointer like this, or steal the ball and get an easy shot. There's jump, which has obvious uses. Then there's the shoot button on offense, and it's steal on defense. Shooting from behind half court counts as a 3-pointer, and from anywhere else on the court is a jump shot. But so these are all tied together with energy. Now everything you do uses energy, so you gotta use it carefully. Use it too quick and you'll probably get dominated like this. Use it efficiently and you can pull off some nice blowouts like I did here. You can play with strangers or challenge your friends. You might even get to play against me. Once you've downloaded Basketball Arena, add me. My username's Austin Sweat. So make sure to check it out. And oh yeah, Basketball Arena is now hosting a $50,000 win streak event that ends on March 12th. The top 10 players on the leaderboard will win cash prizes from $1,000 to $25,000. So download and start now so you don't miss out. And now back to the video. And we can start first with one of the craziest in Duncan Robinson. And you might have heard parts of his story already, but here's the full thing. So as a freshman in high school, Duncan stood at 5'7" and was on his high school basketball team, but really didn't play much at all until his junior year when he started to get taller. Even before he got playing time though, he always had the work ethic and loved to shoot. And he'd usually aim for 1,600 made shots a week. And that was the start of how he got to shoot so well. But it's crazy, even in his junior season, Robinson was still coming off the bench. And it wasn't until his senior year that he grew to 6'6" and put up 19 a game, where he started really seeing a future in basketball. And since he had such a late start, after he graduated, he continued playing AAU and did a postgraduate year to try and get looked at by more colleges. And it helped that he had now grown to 6'8". Now, like most people, he could have looked at his situation and thought it was too late for him, but he bet on himself, didn't give up, and it worked. He didn't really get many offers after that extra year, so he didn't have a lot to choose from, but he did end up picking Williams College, which was a Division III school. And from there, things blew up in a good way. He would finish his first college season and lead his school in points scored, threes made, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, blocks, and steals, and averaged 17 and 6, and had what was described as one of the best freshman seasons in D3 basketball history. And now was when all the real scholarship offers came flying in, and he ended up picking the University of Michigan. So in one season, he broke out and instantly went from a D3 to a D1 school. And it shows, even if things aren't looking great, to not give up and something good can come of it. But it doesn't stop there. He played good at Michigan and had a lot of big games and moments, but still went undrafted in 2018. But he kept going, and he joined the Heat Summer League team, impressed them enough to make their G League team, and after averaging 48% from 3 for them for the season, Miami gave him a main roster contract, making him one of the only players to ever play for a D3 team and in the NBA. But he then put on 15 pounds of muscle for the 2019 season, and as we know, had sort of a breakout year. And this year's been a little rough for him, with teams really knowing how to play him now. But he's still one of the best shooters in the game, and seeing where he came from up until now, anything from here on out is still a win for him. Ja Morant. And both of Ja's parents were former basketball players. His mom was a point guard in high school, and his dad almost played overseas, but gave up his basketball career when Ja was being born to help take care of him. And instead, his father taught him the game from a young age, and really trained him while he was growing up. And that went on until high school. In his freshman season, he was 5'9" and an average player. As a junior though, he grew up to 6 feet, but still didn't dunk for the first time until he grew to 6'3" as a senior. But still, in those last 2 seasons, he became Crestwood High School star, averaging 27, 8, and 8 in both years. But he wasn't ranked by any recruiting services, and only got one major D1 offer by the time he graduated, until he was accidentally discovered over the summer. Murray State's assistant coach James Kane was attending a camp scouting another player when he walked into a random gym looking for a vending machine and saw Ja playing a 3-on-3 game. He was so impressed that he called the head coach and eventually offered Morant a scholarship. So Ja was just randomly playing a game with his friends, and he just happened to accidentally get scouted on the spot. And he ended up picking Murray State over South Carolina because he said he'd rather play for a school that really wanted him instead of going somewhere he'd just be another player. And he made the right choice. He had a pretty good freshman year, but was still relatively unknown on a national level. But something clicked the next season, and he played so good as a sophomore that only about halfway through that year, he was getting unanimously recognized as a guy that was going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. He then finished that season out even so much better that he was pretty clearly the unanimous second overall pick behind Zion. So he went from extremely unknown in high school even after graduating, still pretty unknown after 1 year in college, to the second overall pick just 1 season later. And that's crazy, that really doesn't happen. He just needed a chance, and he did good on not giving up until he got one. Hassan Whiteside. Whiteside didn't have it easy growing up. He grew up with 6 siblings and a single mom, and at one point attended 3 different high schools in 2 years. But that didn't stop him from making an impact on the court. And it was his junior year that he really broke out. He dominated and led his team to the #1 national ranking. And by his senior season, he was rated as the number 19 center in the nation, and ended up playing at Marshall, gaining national attention for his ability to score, rebound, and block shots, which he set multiple records for. And it was a questionable decision for him to declare for the draft after only his freshman season, but he did it and went 33rd overall in the second round. He was being thought of as a first round or even a lottery pick type of talent, but he had gotten a big reputation as a player who couldn't stay focused and had a problematic personality. So from there it was tough. For the next 4 years he would go on and off between the D-League, trying out for NBA teams and getting rejected, and dominating in China and Lebanon. He could have easily stayed overseas and been a real star, but the only thing he wanted was to be in the NBA, so he kept going. He kept practicing, worked on his attitude and fixing his reputation, and was working out in the YMCA one day when he got a call from the Miami Heat. He joined their D-League team, but 2 days later was called up to the main roster. And he was a huge surprise for them, and had that great first season, then averaged 14 points and 3.7 blocks a game the next year, and put the league on notice, getting a 4-year $90 million max deal with the Heat. Now his run as a breakout player was pretty short-lived. The hype faded soon after he signed that deal, but he made all that money and he's still in the NBA. Plus, all the way up until this year, he was a starter in this league, so he really couldn't have asked for much more. Patrick Beverley. Now I know you probably weren't expecting Patrick Beverley to be here, but he deserves to be, because there were a lot of times where he could have, and where a lot of other people would have called it quits, but he never did. Now Beverley was a great player in high school, and who would have guessed that this man who's barely ever averaged double digits in the NBA, this man whose signature offensive move is maybe a layup, averaged 37.3 points a game as a high school senior. I really don't know how, but he did. And in college, he had a good rookie year and an even better sophomore season, but then he got banned for his entire junior season for cheating on a paper. So he messed up, and instead of waiting out the suspension, he decided to go play overseas, where he signed a 6-figure contract and won the UBL Slam Dunk Contest. And what is this? Why is Patrick Beverley living some sort of double life? 37 points a game and a dunk contest win before the NBA? But in 2009 he actually got drafted in the NBA, but then cut soon after. So he went back overseas and had to play there 4 more seasons until he finally got another opportunity in the league, where he signed a multi-year deal with the Rockets. Beverley didn't necessarily want to play overseas. He would have much rather been playing in the league, but he did what he had to do, and he never lost sight of his true goal. You gotta imagine it was hard for him to keep going when he didn't actually know whether or not he'd make it, but he kept at it, and it's paid off. Joe Harris. While Joe Harris was growing up, his father wasn't a basketball player. He coached high school. So as a kid, Joe would watch him from 3rd to 8th grade until he started taking the game more serious himself. And in high school, his father coached him. And Joe was a good player. He averaged 25, 8, 4, and 2 as a junior, and improved all those numbers as a senior. At 6'5" though, he was only a 3-star recruit out of high school, and ended up going to play for Virginia. Didn't really attract much attention in college, only averaging 11 a game in 4 years, so he went in the second round to the Cavs, and he might have had a better start to his career, but he joined Cleveland the same year LeBron and Kevin Love did, so he barely played and averaged 2 points a game. Had a season-ending surgery at the start of his second year, and eventually joined the Nets, where he slowly developed into a very key piece of that team, and is clearly known as one of the best shooters in the NBA. There's nothing really too exciting with Joe's story, but it does go to show no matter where or how you start, it's got nothing to do with what you make of the finish. Now, most of us know that Giannis has one of the greatest NBA success stories of all time. He went from being 13 years old, having to walk around barefoot in the streets of Greece, trying to sell sunglasses to help his family survive. He used to share a single pair of shoes with his 4 brothers because that was all his parents could afford. His favorite sport was soccer, and he had never played a game of basketball until he was 13, and didn't start playing competitively until 15. And from there he was a natural athlete, so he quickly became a star in Greece. Got scouted and drafted into the NBA at 19, 15th overall, and this is why Giannis makes the video, not for his path to the league, but for a different reason. Because he made it to the NBA, he was making millions, he had already changed his and his family's lives, but even after he made it, he still didn't give up. He could have coasted by and been an average role player for the next 10, 20 years, but even after he made it, he continued to work and has become a 2-time league MVP on a $200 million contract with one of the best work ethics in the entire league. And that's clear by all his progression throughout the years. But that's gonna wrap things up. Once again, go try out Basketball Arena if you haven't already. If you enjoyed part 1 and 2, and maybe even got a little good motivation out of these videos, drop a like, comment and let me know, and I'll catch you next video.